All right, so I'm looking at a table, and it's like savings, rent, and all that stuff here. And so it's a breakdown of my budget by percent. So in other words, 5% of what I make goes to groceries. 12% is my utilities. 15% is my car. 24%, which almost 25% is rent, and so on. 18% miscellaneous. And I make $5,000, right? So what I'm taking home per month. So I got to ask some questions based on that and do some math on it. So I'm going to pretend I have my scratch paper over here, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to work it out down here. So what do I know? The first thing they know is that they're asking me what is true. Um, more than I know the answer more than, but it's $1,000 on rent. We don't know that part yet, right? So I'm spending rent is 24% of what I'm making. So it's $5,000. There's a bunch of ways you can get to this one. I know that 5,000 is my entire thing, right? So that's what I'm doing. If I want to compare that $1,000, because that's what it's saying here, right? Roberto spends blank $1,000 on rent. Well, let's see if that matches. So I'm spending $1,000 on rent. I know this. That's a fifth of my money. Is it 24%? Let's find out. So that one fifth, I want to get to that 100. I'm spending 24% on rent, which means what? 24 out of 100, right? Por cien, right? So 5 times what gives me a 100? Well, times 20. So this one fifth is 20 out of 100, or 20% of what I make. So if I'm spending 1,000, this is what? It's 20% of my money, and apparently I'm spending 24%. So this should be less than, right, or more than. So Roberto spends more than $1,000 on rent. Is that true? $1,000 is 20%, and my rent is 24%. Oh yeah, so I'm spending more on rent than $1,000. That part I got. Okay, so let's put this right in there over here. I say, well, I know then that $1,000 is 20%, but my rent is 24%. So I'm definitely spending more than $1,000. How much? I'd have to do the math, and that'd be like 0.24 times 5,000. There's a bunch of ways to get there, but we're not gonna do that math. Just kind of just playing with what we have here. And then on rent each month, and blank, which is gonna be exactly or one of these two or less than or more than 500 on insurance. So let's break down the insurance. 10% is my insurance. Okay, and $500 is what I'm spending on insurance. So let's get this 500. They're saying exactly. Let's find out. So the 500 is what I'm spending on insurance because they're telling me that down here. We know it's going to be exactly, but let's see why. Well, this zero and this zero are gone. This is zero rules. This zero and this zero are gone. All right. So I am spending $5 out of $50 on insurance. If I simplify this fraction, divide by 5, I'm getting 1 over 10. 1/10. 1/10 times 10 times 10 is 10 over 100. That's going to be my 10%. So there's my exactly. So my $500 is exactly 10%. So that's why it fits. But notice how I'm going about this. I'm using numbers based off 100, simplifying fractions, and so on. Is this one tough? Yes and no. I think we can get definitely a point out of this one for sure. But if you kind of just simplify your mathematics and your thinking and think in terms of kind of doing the math this way, you should be okay, right? Use those benchmark fractions that you should know, like 1/5, 1/10. Use the language of the math, and you should be fine.